What's good, YouTube? Hope y'all doing well. In this video, I'm going to show y'all how making melodies became almost effortless for me. So I'm pretty much just going to show y'all the process and the things that I practiced over the course of the time that I've been producing that really just made making melodies effortless for me. And I don't mean that lightly. Melodies just really flow super easily once you're able to get these things down. That's enough said, so let's just jump right into it. All right, so I got FL open here and I got this plugin Freak 2 open. I'm just going to grab a sound to start with. So I just grabbed this sound, this little pad sound that I got here. So before I get into the weeds of anything, one thing that it's not something that's absolutely necessary that you have, but it definitely makes it a lot easier, and that's having a Midi keyboard of some sort. Again, you don't really need it. It just helps when trying to come up with melody ideas rather than having to click it in every single time. When I was practicing a lot, I just ended up clicking things in, so it doesn't really matter all that much. The first thing that I actually want to cover is learning just one minor scale. You don't have to learn all of them. You don't have to know every last scale or mode or everything in music theory. All you need to learn is just one to start with. The one that I like to use, especially with a MIDI keyboard, the easiest one is D sharp minor, because it's pretty much almost all the black keys. I'll show you on the MIDI right here. So it starts with D sharp, F, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, C sharp, and then back to D sharp. So it pretty much uses all the black keys, and the only two white keys you're using are F and B. Honestly, you can use whichever scale you want. The easiest one with clicking it in is probably the C minor scale, because that's just kind of like the root note of music is C, which is C, D, D sharp, F, G, G sharp, A sharp, and then back to C. And then I'll also put down the D sharp minor scale, which we just covered, which was D sharp, F, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, C sharp. And the reason why I say you only really need to learn one, once you've created a melody in this, if you want to change the key, all you have to do is just move it up or down by the same amount of half steps. So say I want to move this up to G minor, I just move all my notes up until it gets to G. So if I count it up, I got to move it up once, twice, three, four times. So I just move it up 1, 2, 3, 4, and now my melody's in G minor. Let's say, for example, I wanted to move my melody down to B minor. I just move it down 1, 2, 3, 4. All you'd have to do is just shift it accordingly to the root note. So as for the actual melodies, I'm just going to start with the metronome on at a certain tempo. I'm going to pick 156 to start with here. And I'm just going to go ahead and play in just a basic melody pattern. So I think I'll just put that down for now, just something real basic. And so when you record stuff in, odds are you're not going to play it in perfectly on grid. So just to quickly snap these to the lines here, you just hit Control Q on Windows or Command Q on Mac, and just make sure that these all hit in like the right spot. So I went ahead and adjusted a little bit. So something like that seems kind of good. I'll just extend these notes out a little bit. Actually, before I move on here, I'm going to put the scale in the ghost notes real quick. Also, if you want to, you don't have to put this into ghost notes. In some of the newer versions of FL, they have this little music note here. You just left click on it to enable it, and then right click on it, and then choose your key. So for this, we're using D sharp minor. So I'm going to go to minor natural and right click on it. And then I'm going to find our root note, which is D sharp, and left click on it. And so now whenever I move a note, it's going to stay in key. It'll snap automatically to D sharp minor. I'm actually going to change these melody notes a little bit. So just something like this, and I'll probably change some of these to a little higher pitch here. do something like that. Just change it up a little bit between all the root notes here. So that's just like a basic melody. I don't really like the sound 100%, so I'm gonna go ahead and change it around a little bit and just see what if I can find something better. That's a little better. So I'm gonna throw some portal on it, just throw some variation on it. And then I'll also throw on some effectrics. Just throw a little stutter on it. And some stretch. Something simple like this. I think what I want to do now is probably halftime it. Turn the mix down a little bit so we have a little bit of those highs still coming through. Now I'm just gonna open up another plugin. For this I'll use Electra X. So we kind of have our basis melody here, and now what I like to do is throw down one top melody. We kind of already have one here that's repetitive, but that's a little different. So we have our basis, which is kind of like your chords. If I had to give this like an analogy, I would say it's like a sandwich. So we've got our bread slices right now. You're gonna start putting in your main ingredients, the stuff in the middle, like your cheese, your vegetables, your meat, stuff like that. All we wanna do here is just come up with a melody that's really, really simple. At most like 10 notes, right? Like nothing too crazy. So the one that I hear in my head is like dun, 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 for 4 measures. So. Like that. I don't like the sound, so I'm gonna go ahead and switch that out with like a bell sound of some sort. Something like this. Alright, I'm gonna record that in real quick. And then again, just quick quantize that with Control Q. I'm gonna just copy that over. And now all I'm gonna do is just change these notes around a little bit to other ones in the scale. Alright, so just keep it real basic like this for now. Alright, you know what? I actually have a one shot in mind. I'm just gonna grab it from my kit real quick. It's this one right here. Go ahead and turn the release up. And I'm gonna go ahead and throw on some reverb. So we got our first 2 melodies. We have the one which is our basis, which is our chords with the little top notes. The second one is our second, like our bell melody that we got right now, just the simple top melody. The third is going to be our bass notes. Sandwich analogy that I brought up, this is like your condiments, this is what's really kind of gives it some extra flavor, some extra depth. You're not just eating a dry sandwich. So typically for these, I'll just use like the low notes on a piano. So for this, it'll just be, actually dropping an octave. And typically this is just a root note. It's just D sharp. You want to make it a little darker sounding, you add the octave below it. I'll just go ahead and put in a basic bass pattern here. Pretty basic. Honestly, you could probably just have the D sharp by itself. You don't got to throw any of these little notes in at the end. And if you do want to switch it, you could probably switch this to the 5th or 6th note in the scale. For the sake of our example with D sharp minor, that would be either A sharp or B. And again, you can just kind of play around with the different notes in the scale and just see what works. Now the next thing, which kind of goes hand in hand with the last sound, is the sub bass. And I'm just going to grab this little synth bass from the Ignite kit here. It's basically just like a little modified Reese bass. And all this really is just an extra layer onto that bass note Typically I'd try to use these in like the intro or the bridges of the beat. I'm not really going to be using it a lot during the verses and the hooks, but it just adds a little layer to the sample. Last note's off, I want it to be A sharp. In terms of the notes, it's going to be pretty similar to your bass piano notes right here. And again, you could use different ones for this. You don't have to use a piano. You could use a brass. You could use other stuff. So I think I want to add one more counter melody to this. And then after that, we'll throw in just like some little accent sounds. And that's pretty much the whole melody in terms of structure and all that. So this one's another counter melody. This one's just going to be a really subtle layer by the time I'm done with it. That's not exactly what I wanted, but it's pretty close. Let me just go ahead and fix the notes a little bit here. Well, first I'm actually going to change the preset to something else. I'm actually going to take this top note here and drop it 1 octave, or 2 octaves rather. I think I'll just throw some chorus on and call it a day. So in the final mix it's going to sound subtle, but it just adds a little bit more of a layer to it. For the last couple sounds here, it might just be one. I just like to add little accents to it. Just something that kind of adds some more texture to it. This could be an accent, a texture, another bell. For this example, I'm going to use a tubular bell. Just a kind of generic sound for most trap beats. I don't even think I'm going to add that many. I think I'm just going to add 2, 1 right here on D sharp. And then same thing here, but this one's going to be on A sharp. All I'm going to do here is just throw a little EQ to roll off the lows and a reverb. So now, before I do anything with the melody, I'm going to go to the master track and put on some sound shifter. And all I'm doing with this is just moving the melody up and down just to see if there's a better key similar to this. And like I said, this kind of fits hand in hand with the whole thing of you only really need to know one key. Once you're able to make melodies in that key, all you have to do is just shift it up and down when you're done with it if you want to change the key. Or let's just keep in mind that we're in D sharp minor. All I'm going to do here is just adjust this little semitones option until I get to a key that I like. Alright, I like this right here, the little +3. So what I'm going to do is select all of the menu items here that have notes in them, and then I'm going to the drop down menu and hit transpose selected, and then we're going to move it up 3, so we're going to do +3. If you're going to move it down, you just do minus and then the number of half steps you're moving it down. Then you hit enter or the little check mark, and now your whole sample is transposed. Also, as a heads up, when you do change the key, you also have to disable this little music note thing that we put on earlier. That way it doesn't snap it to the wrong scale. Or if you want to, you could always just adjust it. You just right click on it and change your root note. So we moved it up 3. So if we count up 3 here, 1, 2, 3, that means we're in F sharp minor. Yeah, pretty much that's just how you structure your melodies. You just figure out one scale, you get a little bassist melody going, and then you throw in a little accent on top, a couple bass notes, another counter melody, and just any more little melody accents you want. And from there, you're pretty much done. I mean, honestly, that's just my way of making samples. Overall, that's pretty much the general gist of it. If you can really dial in all those things, if you're able to just practice this over and over again, eventually the melodies will just kind of come to you as you're creating. You don't have to really think of it beforehand or anything like that. And eventually, you just get really good at it. It becomes pretty effortless, to be honest with you. So yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Thank you for watching. Appreciate y'all for tapping in. And hopefully this was a pretty helpful video. I just want to break down like how my melody process goes and how I got to the point where I'm able to cook up a loop in like 10-15 minutes. And that's gonna be it for this one. So I'll see you on the next video.
Roll up, Tiff.